Hello, everybody. How are you doing? So here we are once more, Leo Faerberg over there in Ireland, and me, Steve Costello, to talk about things with a psychological twist. Sometimes not, but mostly it is because we're both psychologists, so that's what you're going to get. And today we're going to talk about thinking harder to fix stuff. I can do that, right, Leo? Does it work?
Yeah, we all can do that.
Absolutely.
I'm
So,
good at
what
it.
that's the thing. I come across a lot of clients who are really good at thinking hard. They think so hard, they exhaust themselves, they wear themselves out. And when I ask the question, and did that fix it? The answer is always no, not really. Sometimes I've got to think about it for a minute, more thinking, but it doesn't come up with a result, at least not the result that they might be looking for. So let's start from the point of view that we can't think ourselves out of pain or grief or uncertainty, whatever uncertainty is popping up in our worlds. And the reason why we can't, one of the reasons why we can't do that is because it just keeps us stuck in a loop. We just keep running around almost like a mouse in a wheel. We're running around this wheel. And some people go a little bit further with it. They start to research it. So they get on ChatGPT or they get on Google and they look for solutions to their situation, their challenge, whatever it might be. And usually that paralyzes them
Yes.
because they come up with a lot of information, perhaps too much information. They come up with information that some of it they don't understand. That's why we have psychologists in this world. We're trained to understand some of the things that they come up with, but yet they don't have that experience and that background. So they become kind of paralyzed by all this information that they turn up. Some of it is blatantly unhelpful as well. We've all seen posts on social media that say, think harder, think harder, think harder, or think positive, and everything will be all right. Well, we know that that is absolutely rubbish and it doesn't work. So when I ask the question,
Yeah,
did
or change your mindset.
yeah, oh yeah, change your mindset. That's a good one. That one is so common. I think I did a post about that recently. But I always ask the question, so did thinking harder make it better? And the answer is never, yeah, of course it did. It's usually, no, I'm tired. No, I'm exhausted. I just can't stop running around this loop. Help. What can I do? So give me some perspective, Leo, from you.
Oh, that's a big story because I myself, I think I can say that I'm still an overthinker, but I really did a lot of work to try and at least add up other other levels of regulation, other levels of finding solutions, including, body work. Not in a big sense. I'm still an overthinker, but like and different other you have to activate other parts of your brain. Again, I like coming back to, well, everything is processed through your brain. Everything from subtle energies to just processing your food. It's all regulated by your nervous system. And so thinking is just one tiny part that takes so much energy, that takes so much attention, and has been so much praised because thinking and being intellectual and finding solution and writing plans and getting uh, and analyzed, used to, and it was very, very incentivized that you have to be smart. And everything else is, goes afterwards, or even not, is not important. And so, yes, I agree with you that this becomes a problem because when I started in psychology, like more than 25 years ago, it was still like a bookish science, and you could get your knowledge from your teachers and from the books, especially special books you read. And throughout these 25 years, the the information field exploded that
Mhm.
big that now everyone has this Google in your pocket, and now it's Chat GPT, and people think that whatever Chat GPT tells you is the right thing, and but it's not. Chat GPT very often lies and very often tells you what you want it to tell you because it picks up the cues from your prompts and it tries to fit you and please you in a way, not in an emotional sense, but in informational sense. And so it just builds up this pyramid or uh, Tower of Babylon that crashes you down with this knowledge that you don't know how to apply.
Yep,
And that becomes an extra problem over whatever problem you are overthinking.
absolutely. Yeah, so we're just compounding. We take the basic problem, whatever that might be, and we're building on it. So one of the things I'm often asked is, do you have a tool for that, whatever that happens to
Oh,
be?
yes.
And
Oh,
quite
yes.
often there might be a tool. There might be a tool like, yeah, pause, stop, breathe.
Yeah.
That's all. Pause, stop, breathe. Intentional breathing. But also going back to Google and ChatGPT, if you ask for a tool for overthinking, it'll give you a ton of tools for overthinking. And that's, as Leo just said, it's going to make the situation more challenging. And chances are you're not actually going to go anywhere with it. There is a tool that I like to use, and this is a very personal one, and it's based on research and all kinds of stuff. And when I've got a lot in my head, I take a piece of white paper. No, it's not digital, it's not electronic, it's a very old-fashioned piece of white paper. And I've got a box over here with colored pens in it. So in the middle of the paper, I'll write down whatever the challenge is. Just name it. So name of the challenge. Color doesn't matter, but I would do it in a color, not normal ink, blue, black. And then I'll draw an arrow from the problem. And in at the end of that arrow, I'll write the next thing that comes into my head. Just write it down in a different color, draw a circle around it, different color, keep it bright. And then what comes up next? Okay, it's not coming off that one I just wrote down. It's coming off the original challenge. So I'll do another arrow in a different place and write down what's coming into my head next. If the next thing that comes into my head follows that one, I'll connect it with an arrow to that one. So what I end up with is a piece of paper covered in kind of circles and arrows and words. And that, in a way, is a great way to demonstrate this overthinking because your paper's
Mhm.
full of stuff and you think, oh my word, where did I get all this from? It all came out of my head. So then what I do when I've got all this paper full of colors and words, I look back at it and say, okay, what should I be managing right now? Just one thing. So I'll choose that one thing and I'll think about it some. How can I manage this? What can I do to change the way this is going on? It's not deep, it's not complex. I'm not using another counselor or psychologist to help me through it. It's just me and a piece of paper. But that breaks things up really nicely.
Mhm.
And usually I walk away and say, that was cool. There was a lot of benefit in doing that. So that is a tool that can be helpful.
But you have to know how to use it. That's the thing.
That's the
Because
thing.
it's,
Yeah.
yeah, because it's not that you analyze everything. It's not only analysis or breaking it down into, uh, you know, pieces. Uh, it's also uh, the outcome. You don't have to have a lot of information. You have to have information that fits, and you have to have such a blend of these ideas. Even if you do a research, yes, sure, do a research, read a post or two better from practicing psychologists, and not your hairdressers. Uh, sorry. Uh, and at the same time, and in your mind, is that it brews into a solution suitable to you, not for this particular situation. You surely you use your experience with previous situations, your life experience. Surely you listen to what your friends say and your people or other people around internet says. But what has to happen is that it kind of gets this chemical reaction, like metaphorically in your head, and
Yeah.
gives you the next product exactly fitting this situation. And some situations you don't have control over them, whether you're thinking of them or not. They're just happening, and well-being is not about not noticing unpleasant or even painful situation. It's going through them and having in parallel other things to do, to think about, to distract yourself, to get busy with, to just to live. But yes, and there is this painful situation, but the vicious circle is that painful situations, any types of stress, uh, overthinking, uh, it all gives you an impression that you are getting a wider perspective, but in fact, even physiologically, it narrows your perspective. You become fixed on this, and the body reacts the same way. You become like as if you're stiff and fixated because
Yeah.
you're in this survival mode, and I have to do something. I have to do something, and you're not. You're mostly overwhelmed and busy with the idea that you have to do something instead of doing something.
Yeah. Absolutely. One of my clients last week described an iron bar going across her shoulders, behind, across her shoulders. And she said, when I feel this iron bar, she said, I can't do anything. And then it affects my neck, and it gives me a headache sometimes. My arms and my hands don't feel great. So the body's actually shouting.
The body is shouting, and it's still, and again, it gives you this, it fixes you in this position. Because I also have clients like this, and I have a client, a long-term client, by the way. And one of the reasons that therapy is taking so long is that because she's so frozen in her trauma that but she writes down all the tools I tell her, all the advice, or even like do your homework, but it stays all written on the paper, and she overthinks everything. But it's very hard, even for me as a professional, it's hard to uh, melt her down in a good sense and have her try things, because but sometimes she even tries them and they don't work. I know people practicing qigong or yoga, and saying these good things, and talking about all these energies and doing energy work and everything, and it doesn't work because they are so stuck, they're so stiff in other like stressful reactions, that formally doing yoga does not relax them, does not help them. They are they're not channeling the right energy while they're doing their yoga,
Yeah.
but though they do it faithfully. And so it's a lot of work to be done around it, but uh, obviously not too much thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes we need quiet. We
Yeah.
don't need a bag full of tools. We need some quiet. I said it a few minutes ago. We
Mhm.
need to pause. We need to stop. We need to breathe intentionally. Just calm things down for a minute. Okay, that is not going to be the fix, but it is a very powerful start point. We just need to in.
Because it brings you to this, what might be called a zero point. If
Yeah,
you catch it, then this is where a new flower can bloom, where you can start getting other perspective, not other knowledge or other information or next thing. It's uh, it's kind of helping you grow a bit, grow your perspective. No- it's different. I
Yeah.
know people reading all the parenting books and learning about all this advice how to talk to children, but when your child triggers them they start like shouting, and me, same thing. Don't I know how to talk to children? I teach people how to talk to children. But when my children trigger me, how do I react? That's the question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or at work or with the boss or with a partner.
Yeah.
Whatever, it doesn't matter what you know. It matters what you practice.
So we've not even begin to begun to cover the tip of the iceberg here. So if there's any takeaway, where is your ground zero? See if you can find it. If you're struggling with it, no problem. Drop us a message, leave a comment below this video. Get in touch. You can talk to Leo, you can talk to me. We have a million things that we can do to work forward.
May I insert a short remark?
Yes.
Many people don't go to a psychologist or any type of counselor that might help or coach because they think they had to get things in order and then present it to a psychologist in order.
Yeah.
Instead, but what if I hear this, I said, no problem. You have to bring all the stuff, like whatever, and pour it onto me or in front of me, because it's my business not to put it on me, but just to give the space where you pour it out, scatter it all together with no order, with no logic, with all the stupid things you think that they're stupid. And that's my job, to help you to sort them out,
Yeah.
to, you know, put them apart, or that then synthesize other things
Yeah.
together. It's
Absolutely.
my job.
Yeah. We deal in the messy, and
Yeah,
that's okay. That's what we're qualified to do. That's what we've been trained. That's what all our experience has
that
taught us.
that's what
If you,
all the help comes from this point, that we are trained to deal with the mess. Doctors are trained with the mess in your body. Psychologists are trained to deal with the mess in your mind.
yeah, absolutely. Okay, remember, get in touch, leave us a message, do whatever you've got to do, and we'll always respond.
Yes,
Take care,
you're
everybody.
welcome.